feel it before you see it. The wind changes direction. It brushes past your face in slow, steady breaths cooler than before. The trees begin to whisper, their leaves shivering in waves. Birds, once busy and chirping, fall silent. Somewhere in your chest, a quiet tension forms, not fear, but something ancient, something you can't name. You glance up. The sky, once soft and pale, is no longer the same. The blue has dulled, stained now with a creeping gray. It grows thicker and heavier with every passing breath. Thick clouds move in, silent but powerful, and something inside you knows this is not like the quiet rains you've seen before. Your bare feet press into the damp soil as you rise. Around you, others in the tribe begin to slow, movements still. A mother pauses in her weaving. A young boy stops poking at ants with a stick. Elders exchange glances, saying nothing. They don't need to. The forest seems to hold its breath. And then it happens. A low, deep sound rolls through the hills. It's not the growl of a beast. It doesn't come from the trees or the brush. It comes from above, from the sky itself. A rumble. You've never heard anything like it. You freeze. The air around you is suddenly thick and buzzing. The wind carries a strange, scent-damp stone, burned wood, something sharp and metallic. You don't understand it, but your instincts do. You look up again. A sudden crack of light streaks across the sky, white and jagged. It flashes for less than a heartbeat, but it sears into your mind. The clouds blink white, then fall back into darkness. And then, a moment later, the thunder returns louder now, a shaking, booming roar that seems to rattle the trees and stir the earth itself. You don't run. Not yet. No one does. Instead, your tribe moves with a kind of practiced calm. No words. No panic. Just quiet agreement. You all begin walking, together, toward the mouth of the great cave. It's a place you know well, a place of stories, of sleep, of warmth. The fire inside still burns. Its smoke trails lazily into the air. It is dry. It is safe. As the first heavy drops of rain begin to fall, you cross the threshold of the stone shelter. The sound of the rain on leaves above you becomes louder, steadier. The world outside dims. You sit by the fire, knees drawn to your chest, wrapped in a fur cloak that smells of animal hide and smoke. Beside you, the others settle in, elders, hunters, children, all finding their places without fuss. The fire crackles, warm and steady, the single thread of light in a darkening world. A loud, sharp crack of lightning flashes again, this one closer. The little ones jump. Your heart skips but then settles. Because here, in the dim firelight, the storm feels far away. The stone walls around you are solid. They've stood for many storms. They will stand through this one too. And as the thunder rolls across the hills once more, you feel something unexpected. Peace. You breathe deeply. You are safe. And as the storm begins to speak in its strange and powerful voice, you listen not with fear, but with wonder and curiosity. What is it? Why does the sky light up like that? Why does it roar like an animal? What does it mean? Long before there were names for things, before storm, before lightning, before fear, there were only sensations, feelings in the bones, impressions passed down not with words, but with stories told in silence, with gestures, with glances. And tonight, huddled in this cave with the people who share your fire, you are living one of those stories. No one needs to explain. The lesson is unfolding around you. You hear the storm. You feel the cold of the rain-soaked wind slip into the cave's edge, and you see the way the elders glance up unblinking every time the sky flashes. The night is alive now, and so are you. Before the video continues, if you like these types of videos, make sure to subscribe and like. It really helps us to continue making these videos. The fire dances. Its glow bounces gently off the rough stone walls, flickering shadows across the backs of the people huddled around you. It snaps, softly alive, but not wild. Just enough to warm the bones and cast a golden calm over the moment. You scoot a little closer to it, not because you're cold, but because it feels grounding. Outside, the storm grows. The rain falls harder now. What started as droplets has become a steady rhythm tap. Tap, tape on the stones, and leaves beyond the cave. It echoes faintly in the cave mouth, like footsteps you can't see, but it's not threatening, just strange. The sound of something bigger than you. You press your fingers against the ground beneath you. The stone is cool, even close to the fire. You can feel a slight vibration, as if the earth itself is listening to the thunder. Another flash. It lights up the cave for a brief moment, brighter than the fire. Then, like clockwork, boom, the sky answers. The sound rolls over you in waves. You feel it in your chest, in your spine. It makes your heart jump, but not out of panic, out of awe. A child across the fire gives a small whimper. Without a word, their mother shifts, wraps an arm around them, and hums something low and slow. A sound not meant to fix anything, just to remind the little one they are not alone. You watch this. You feel it too. The storm might be powerful, but inside this circle, around this fire, you are held. You glance around at the others. One of the elders sits with their eyes closed, humming in a rhythm that almost matches the thunder, as if sinking their breath to the storm, as if somehow it makes peace with the sound. Someone to your left reaches out and gently places a hand on your shoulder. You don't look at them. You don't need to. Their fingers are firm and steady. A simple gesture, but it says, "You're here. I'm here. We're okay." The storm gives another mighty rumble. This one makes the ground tremble. And for a moment, everyone in the cave goes still. No chatter, no movement, just listening to the sky. You close your eyes, and for the first time, you imagine something. Not just reacting, but wondering, thinking, painting pictures in your mind. You imagine the storm as a great beast stretching above the trees, angry and thrashing its claws across the sky. You picture it roaring in frustration, stomping its feet through the clouds, but not to hurt you, just to be heard, just to remind the world that it's there. The fire pops, drawing you back. One of the older women begins to speak, not loudly, not like a story, more like a whisper to the fire. She talks about the last time the storm came, how it bent a tree near the river, how the lightning struck a tall stone and split it in two, how the fire appeared days later, glowing in a blackened tree. You don't understand every word. Some of them are old word gestures and sounds passed down that you only half know. But the meaning is clear. We've seen this before. We lived through it. We will again. The storm crackles outside. The lightning is more frequent now, painting the world in brief, blinding strokes. You can almost make out the outline of trees on the far ridge when it flashes. They look like frozen dancers, tall and still reaching toward the sky. And then, one flash is followed by a silence that stretches too long, too quiet, then crack. A sound so loud and sharp, you flinch before you know why. It doesn't roll like the others. It snaps close, violent, sudden, the kind of thunder that doesn't wait. It hits first, then echoes. You feel it deep in your chest. Everyone does. A gasp. A few arms pull loved ones closer. You press your back to the cave wall. The stone is solid, cold, real. And it helps, because even though your heart races now, even though your skin tingles with leftover electricity, you are still here, still warm, still safe. The rain keeps falling, but something is different now. It's no longer a visitor. It has settled in. The storm is fully here, now loud, alive, and all around. You wrap the fur tighter around your shoulders and lean your head back against the cave wall. Your breath slows again, and then, like a balm, someone begins to sing. It's not a melody, you know. It's not really a song at all. Just a series of rising and falling tones. Wordless, drifting up and curling into the cave air like smoke. A few others join in. Not in harmony, not in time, but together, like drops in a stream. Their voices are soft, steady, ancient. You don't know where the sound comes from inside them, but it fills the air with something warmer than the fire. A sense that this moment is not danger. It is connection. The storm rages outside, and in here, something else lives. Something stronger than fear. You breathe in through your nose. The air smells of rain-soaked stone, burning wood, damp fur, and something sweet like crushed berries left near the fire. Everything feels closer, slower, as if time itself has softened with the rain. The singing fades. Not because it stops, but because it blends. Blends into the crackle of firewood, the hush of water outside, the low rhythm of thunder rolling in the distance like a drum played by the sky. You sit still, legs crossed beneath your cloak. Your fingers lightly trace the edge of a small carving, just a bit of bone smoothed down into a shape that only you understand. You keep it in your pouch, a talisman, a comfort. Outside, the storm has settled into a steady rhythm. Rain, thunder, flash. Rain, thunder, flash. It becomes almost predictable. You begin to notice the patterns. A bright flash then, silence then. The thunder comes. Always in that order, like a dance. You realize something then. Something quiet but important. The storm is not angry. It is just loud. And if you listen closely, you begin to understand its voice. The trees outside sway, not in fear, but in rhythm. The wind pushes the scent of wild herbs into the cave, crushed and stirred by the falling rain, and the puddles forming outside ripple like the surface of stirred soup, soft and full of life. Somewhere near the cave entrance, two young ones crawl toward the edge, peeking out from under heavy hides. They giggle when the rain splashes their faces, then retreat, shivering and smiling. One of the hunters watches them, his face unreadable. Then, without a word, he rises and steps into the rain. Gasps rise from around the fire, but no one stops him. He walks slowly, hands loose by his sides, bare feet pressing into the soft earth. Rain pours down over his shoulders, soaking his thick hair, tracing down his cheeks like tiny rivers. He raises his arms not in challenge, but in acceptance. You watch from the cave as lightning flashes behind him, his silhouette glowing for a heartbeat. He closes his eyes, and then he laughs. Not loudly, not madly, just softly, as if the storm told him a secret. When he returns, dripping and silent, the cave welcomes him like nothing happened. He sits by the fire. He squeezes the water from his sleeves. No words, but everyone feels it. Something about what he did helped. The storm is still there, but so are you. And you begin to understand that to survive is not just to hide. It is to watch, to feel, to learn, to remember. Farther into the cave, the old man, his hair more white than gray, leans forward, his hands cupped around a glowing ember he tends like a newborn. He adds bark, dried moss, a bit of fungus from a pouch. He blows gently. The ember flares. A second fire catches. You watch carefully, because even as the storm rages, you know, the fire must not go out. In your world, fire is more than warmth. It is protection. It is light. It is memory. When the storm rolls over the mountains and into the forest, fire is what stays behind. You study how the elder stacks the kindling, how he lets the air breathe through the wood, how his hands never rush. Every movement is slow, deliberate, confident. In a world of wild noise and chaos, this act tending the fire is control. You commit every motion to memory. You shift your gaze toward the cave mouth again. A few torches have been wedged into cracks in the stone, They glow orange against the gray sky beyond. The storm seems calmer now. The thunder is no longer angry, just present. A steady breath in the distance. Someone begins to tell a story. You lean in, not to hear better, but because that's what you do when stories are told. The voice is deep, not booming, but warm. They speak of a time before the caves, before the circle of fire, when people huddled in trees, when fire had not yet come down from the sky, when the only warmth was the press of another body, and the only comfort was a mother's heartbeat. The storyteller's voice is slow, melodic, and full of pauses. Every word drops into the space between raindrops like smooth stones. No one interrupts. The children listen with wide eyes. The hunters nod, thoughtful. And you drift, not away, but inward, because the story isn't just being told, it's happening. This storm is a page in that story. Your people once feared the sky. Now, you understand it. You are not just surviving. You are learning to listen. The thunder rolls again. Farther now, you notice the pauses between lightning and sound growing longer. The flashes are duller. The sky is still heavy, but no longer threatening. Your breathing is slow, even, like the rhythm of rain on leaves. You reach for a small bowl carved from stone. It holds warm root, mash thick, earthy, comforting. You scoop a bit with your fingers. The flavor is simple, clean. It fills your belly and grounds your thoughts. Across the fire, a child has fallen asleep curled beside their mother, head on her lap. She strokes their hair, humming softly again. The sound of her voice blends with the soft crackle of the fire and the fading heartbeat of the storm. You wrap your cloak tighter and lower yourself to the ground, back resting on the soft curve of the cave wall. The stone is cool, but familiar. The fur beneath you is warm, still carrying the scent of long hunts and safe returns. You close your eyes. Outside, the storm continues, but in here, you are part of something deeper. The storm isn't an enemy, it is a teacher. And in this cave surrounded by warmth, stories, song, and stone, you are listening. You wake slowly, not with a jolt or fear, but with the soft heaviness of warmth wrapped around your limbs and the fading hush of rain in your ears. The fire is still crackling nearby. The air is cooler now, damp but calm. The kind of calm that comes after something big has passed. You blink. Gray light filters into the cave mouth morning. The storm has quieted. It isn't gone yet, but the roar has softened into a whisper. The thunder no longer speaks in loud declarations. It mutters now, from far away, like an old giant mumbling in his sleep. You sit up slowly. Your back aches just a little from the stone floor beneath the hides, but it's a good ache, a reminder that you rested, that you were safe. You stretch your legs beneath the fur cloak, then gently nudge it aside and rise to your feet. The cave is still full of quiet breathing. Your people rest, curled in clusters near the fire, their chests rising and falling in slow rhythm. A few are awake elders, tending to embers, mothers checking little ones, but no one speaks yet. Words aren't needed this early. You step lightly past them, careful not to disturb the sleep that blankets the space. At the mouth of the cave, the world beyond is wet and silver. Puddles reflect the dull light of morning. Leaves drip in steady rhythm. Mist curls low across the trees. The world is clean now, scrubbed by the rain, smoothed out by the storm's wild breath. You step outside, just 1 foot at first. The earth is soft beneath your toes. Mud clings between them, cool and squishy. You step again. The ground holds you. You walk slowly. Each step is deliberate, respectful, as if the world is still waking. Birdsong returns in the distance, tentative, light. A pair of tiny brown birds hops across a fallen log. One ruffles its feathers and lets out a single chirp. Another answers. You smile. They made it too. You turn your eyes upward. The clouds are still thick, but they're breaking apart in places. Through them, soft bands of morning light stretch downward in golden fingers. One catches the surface of a still puddle, turning it to shining glass. It's quiet, but not empty, just full of new things waiting to begin. Behind you, the others begin to stir. Slowly, one by one, they rise. The fire is fed again, gently. Dried sticks from within the cave are added, and warm smoke trails back into the air. Someone brings out food-dried meat, berries gathered before the rain. They pass it around. No feast, just enough. You sit among them, chewing slowly. The taste is familiar, grounding. One of the young boys sits beside you, knees drawn up, eyes fixed on the open forest. You can tell by the way he leans forward he wants to ask something. About the lightning, about the sky. But he doesn't, not yet. Instead, he picks up a stick and begins to draw in the wet earth. Lines, shapes, little marks that have no words but still tell a story. You nod. He smiles, and you both sit in silence. Later, a group prepares to leave the cave. Not far, just to explore, to check what changed. You join them. The forest smells different to Derricher, fuller. Rain has opened the soil, shaken the leaves, made the moss come alive. Everything seems more colorful, like the world has taken a deep drink. You walk slowly. Your eyes scan everything. A tree has fallen across the path. Its trunk is split down, the middle blackened, burned. You all stop. No one touches it, but everyone understands. The lightning, the fire from the sky. It struck here. You crouch down, running your fingers across the charred wood. It flakes away under your touch, revealing pale rings beneath the black. The heat must have been immense. You imagine it, a bolt of sky fire tearing through the dark, setting this tree alight, roaring in the rain. But it didn't last. The storm gave fire, and then water to cool it. You wonder, is that how fire first came to the tribe? Was it born from a storm like this? An elder speaks softly. Sky gives, sky takes. No one answers, but everyone hears. Back at the cave, the mood is lighter. Children splash in puddles just beyond the stone edge. Their laughter blends with birdsong, soft and free. A few women string wet hides along the rock to dry. The smell of smoke clings to everything now. But it's a good smell, a sign that warmth never left you. Someone begins to hum, then sing. This time, the song is different. Brighter, more playful. A song for after the storm. You hum along, and your hands find work stacking stones, brushing water from the floor, wrapping roots in leaves for later. These small movements feel sacred now, like a return to life. Like the storm gave you permission to begin again. Evening comes gently. The sun slips behind the hills, leaving a soft golden trail in its wake. The sky is calm. Not empty, not dark, just resting. You sit once more near the fire. This time, the flames are bigger. The wood is dry again. The crackle is strong. You're not huddled in fear now. You're gathered in peace. Someone passes you, a carved bowl. Inside, warm stew, thicker than before, filled with roots and herbs and meat. You eat slowly, savoring each bite. Not just because you're hungry, but because you're thankful. You survived. You listened. You learned. And now, you remember. Later, when night fully falls and stars return to the sky clear and endless, you lay on your back, just outside the cave mouth. The stone beneath you is cool again, but the air is still. The storm is long gone now, and in its place, silence. Real silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of understanding. You trace the stars with your eyes. Familiar shapes, the long hunter, the quiet bird, the twisting river. They were hidden during the storm, but they never left. They were always there waiting, and now They shine again. Above you, the sky no longer rumbles. It watches. It listens. Just like you did. You don't forget the storm. Even after the sky clears and the fire burns high again, it stays with you. Not in a heavy way, not like fear, but like a lesson carved into stone, quiet and deep. The next day, the tribe moves. Not far, but enough to see the rest of the forest. You walk in a long, calm line feet brushing through wet grass, furs still damp from the night before. The youngest ride on shoulders. The elders walk slowly. No one rushes. The air is still soft from the storm, and everything smells alive. Each step takes you over soaked roots, under dripping branches. The forest drips and drips. Water gathers on the edge of every leaf before falling in slow, perfect drops to the soil below. You notice something. The forest is different after the rain. It feels open, refreshed, as if every tree has taken a long breath. You kneel and place your hand on the ground. It's soft, wet, but not muddy anymore, just rich, living. You press your palm into it and feel the faintest warmth rising from the earth below. A reminder, even after the storm, life comes back. Later, while resting near a stream, you gather stones. Not for tools, not for hunting, just for memory. You look for smooth ones, round ones, shiny ones that glint in the morning light. Each one reminds you of something the fire's glow, the rhythm of the thunder, the crack of lightning. You keep 3. You tuck them into the pouch at your side. One for the sound of the storm, one for the shelter that held you, and one for the calm that followed. As the sun climbs higher, the forest glows. You notice plants you hadn't seen before, small green shoots bursting through the earth. Flowers beginning to open, still dripping with rain. Even the animals seem calmer. A rabbit darts across your path, not in fear but with purpose. A small bird settles on a branch, shaking rain from its wings, then begins its slow call. Chi, 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 chi. Your people speak in low voices, pointing, smiling, remembering the night before. You catch pieces of their words, describing the loudest boom, the brightest flash, the way the cave warmed when the flames grew. They talk of how close everyone sat, how good the food tasted in the dark. There's laughter, too. Not loud, but real. The fear has passed. What's left behind is something else. Belonging. You reach a clearing, one the tribe has used before. A place where grass grows soft and tall, and stones form a circle from older times. Here, the tribe stops, not forever, just long enough. You set your pack down, your shoulders ease, and without needing to be told, you begin to build the new fire, the center of the circle, the heart of the gathering. Others follow. Some gather dry grass. Others pick through old wood, choosing the pieces not soaked by rain. You select a handful of twigs and place them carefully, just like the elder taught you. Not too close. Let the air in. Let the fire breathe. You strike flint. Once. Twice. A spark leaps. The grass smolders. And slowly, gently, the first flame curls up into the open air. You sit beside it, and for the first time since the storm, you feel truly settled. Around you, others unpack. Furs are laid out in the sun, wet pouches opened, stones and herbs placed carefully to dry. The world begins again. One of the older women moves beside you. She doesn't say anything. She just begins arranging stones in a small spiral by the fire's edge. You watch. Then, slowly, you mirror her movements. A circle, then a line, then a space. The shapes aren't exact, but they feel right. It's your way of remembering, of marking the story of the storm knot with words, but with patterns. The children join in. Their hands are smaller, their stones lighter, but they work just as carefully, placing them in new shapes loops, stars, simple paths leading outward. You look at your own spiral again. Each stone, one memory. The fire beside you crackles gently. It throws dancing light over the patterns, and as the smoke rises, you breathe deep. You're not afraid of storms now. You're waiting for them, learning from them, listening to them. As the day fades, and the sky begins to stretch into soft oranges and blues, you lie down on your side near the fire. The wind brushes through the tall grass in long, sleepy waves. Crickets begin to sing, their rhythm soft and slow. Somewhere in the distance, an owl begins its call. You watch the smoke drift upward. It sways, it turns, it disappears, just like the thunder did, but it leaves something behind, not ashes, understanding. Before sleep, the elders gather again, not to warn, not to comfort, but to share. They speak about storms from long agoons that came during the time of their own mothers. They talk about how some caves held better than others, how the trees lean differently before the lightning, how the air tastes sharp just before the sky splits, and you listen closely. Because now you understand that stories aren't just stories, they're maps. Soft ones, spoken ones, passed from voice to ear to heart. And one day, you will tell them too. You will speak of the thunder's voice, the sky fire, the warm cave, and the way the world smelled when it all was over. And when your eyes finally begin to close, when your body sinks into the soft grass, and the warmth of the fire touches your back, you'll drift not into dreams of fear, but into dreams of connection. Because the storm didn't break you, it welcomed you, it taught you, it sang to you in the oldest language the sky could speak, and you listened. You wake with the sun on your face. Warm light spills across your closed eyes, gentle and golden. There is no wind, no rain, only the soft breath of morning and the hush of sleeping grass. The storm is far behind now, but its memory still lingers in your chest. You stretch slowly, arms above your head, toes brushing the damp earth beneath your blanket. The fire beside you has burned down to a bed of glowing embers. No one else is awake yet. The world is still half asleep, and that's okay. You sit up. The clearing is quiet, mist rising in curls from the nearby trees. Small birds rustle through the branches, and tiny insects flicker above the wet leaves. You breathe, and slowly, deeply, and the air fills your lungs like water in a calm stream. You feel calm, rooted, and ready, because the storm didn't just pass over you, it moved through you, and it left something behind. Not a wound, not a fear, a knowing. Later that morning, when the sun has risen and the tribe gathers near the fire for food, you notice how everyone moves a little differently now. Slower, more careful, more present. You see it in the way a mother places her child's food before them, with steady hands and soft eyes. You hear it in the way two hunters talk not about danger, but about the patterns of birds, the color of the clouds, the way the trees move before the rain comes. Everyone has learned something, even if they don't say it aloud. You eat your roots and fruit quietly, listening to the sounds around you, chewing, fire popping, the rustle of footsteps on soft earth. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. The storm taught you how to listen, and now the world is full of sound. That afternoon, the tribe begins work on the shelters. The clearing is dry now, and the sun has warmed the stones. It's time to prepare, not because another storm is coming yet, but because you know it will someday, and this time you'll be ready. You help gather sticks, long ones, strong ones. You look for curved branches that fit together without force. You pick ones that are still damp from the storm, but not rotten. They'll bend without breaking. They'll hold tight. Others begin weaving dried grass, animal hide, and large leaves between the wooden frames. You watch how the elders layer them not flat, but at an angle so water runs off and doesn't pool. You learn without asking questions, just by watching. The storm didn't only show you how to seek shelter, it showed you how to build it. Later, while your hands rest and your legs stretch out in the sun, you sit beside one of the older men. His face is lined with age. His eyes are half closed, staring into nothing, but his ears are always listening. You ask him, softly, how he knew the storm was coming. He doesn't speak for a while. He lifts his hand and gestures at the trees. You follow his fingers. They sway differently now, loose, relaxed. But he's showing you how they were before, how the wind pushed the leaves the wrong way, how the birds flew lower, how the smell in the air changed from warm and dry to sharp and wet. You nod. You remember that. You felt it too. And now you know it meant something. You will remember next time. You will know what to do. As the day drifts on, the tribe finishes the shelters, each one stronger than the last, each one with more space, more care. They are not just places to hide from rain now. They are part of you, made from memory, made from experience. When the next storm comes, your people won't run in confusion. They'll gather calmly. They'll light the fire. They'll hold each other close and hum songs to match the thunder's voice. Because now, you carry the storm with you, not as a threat, but as a rhythm, a reminder that even the loudest sky settles down again. That night, as dusk paints the sky with soft purples and gold, you gather near the fire again. Everyone is their babies cradled in fur, elders with sticks beside them, hunters with fresh cuts of meat roasting on long spears. No one speaks at first, and then one of the children stands up. They walk to the fire, and in the dirt just beside it, they begin to draw. Simple lines, curves, a flash-like shape, a small figure curled in a cave, a swirl that might be wind or water or the voice of the sky. You watch, and the others do too. No one stops them. No one tells them how. This is their way of remembering, their way of learning, of passing on what they felt, what they heard, what they knew without knowing how to say. And just like that, the storm becomes a story. As the stars return and the forest hushes, you lie down beneath your blanket once more. This time, your thoughts don't swirl like they did before. They move slowly, gently, like clouds on a quiet night. You think of the rain, the thunder, the lightning. But more than that, you think of the closeness, the fire, the touch of a hand on your shoulder when the storm was loudest. The feeling of many hearts beating near yours, all listening to the sky together. You close your eyes, and you know, the next time the clouds turn gray, the next time the wind changes, you won't be afraid. You'll remember. You'll gather wood. You'll find the fire. You'll help someone smaller than you sit closer to the warmth. You'll hum the song that rises like smoke. And when the thunder calls, you'll listen, just like the sky once listened to you. The days pass gently. Sunlight returns, and with it the songs of birds and the buzzing of tiny insects. Green shoots stretch higher from the earth, leaves unfold, and the air smells sweet again. But even with the return of calm skies, your thoughts still drift back to the thunder, not with fear, but with reverence. The storm is over, but its memory hasn't left. It's become something more. A rhythm, a ritual, a part of life that now lingers in everything you touch. One evening, when the light is fading and the fire has been built fresh again, the tribe gathers not out of necessity, but out of choice. The sky is clear. The air is warm. There is no danger. Still, everyone sits close. Still, the fire is strong. Still, the stories return. Only this time, the stories aren't about hunts or rivers or strange creatures in the trees. Tonight, the stories are about the storm. The old woman who sits nearest the flames speaks softly. Her voice is slow and smooth, like water slipping over stones. She describes the feeling of the first raindrop, the sound of thunder cracking across the sky, the way the lightning lit up the cave like a torch in the hands of the gods. You listen with your knees tucked close to your chest, your fingers curled around a soft bundle of grass. There are no grand words, no long speeches, just moments, small, powerful memories offered like glowing embers, passed from palm to palm. And as she speaks, others begin to join in. One remembers the crackling of fire, rising louder with every flash of light. Another remembers how the air smelled sharp, wet, and full of something ancient. A child recalls how her toes felt when they touched the cold stone floor just before the first roll of thunder. Everyone remembers something, and that remembering becomes its own kind of ritual. The next morning, someone suggests stacking stones, not for tools, not for walls, but for the storm, a marker, a memory. You help. The stones are chosen carefully smooth, balanced, just the right weight. You carry them to the edge of the clearing, where the grass is tall and the trees stand watching. There, one by one, you place them. A circle of 7, each stone touched by many hands, each one set with quiet care. No words are spoken, but in your hearts, you all feel the same thing. This is where the storm changed us. This is where you learn to listen, to wait, to trust the shelter, the fire, and each other. And now, that feeling has shape. You step back and look at the circle. It's simple, but it's strong. It will stand even after the next rain, and the one after that. As the day goes on, you notice how people begin to do new things. Small things, soft things. Someone hums a new melody slower than the old ones, matching the rhythm of the falling rain from nights ago. Someone else braids grass into a long rope, adding tiny white stones along its length, each one a mark for every flash of lightning they saw. You sit in the shade, carving into a piece of wood, not for use, just to feel your hands move. The shapes you make aren't animals or tools. They're waves, curves, swirls, things that remind you of the sky, things that remind you of the storm. Later that evening, as the sun sinks low and paints the trees in gold, the clouds begin to gather again, not thick or dark, just soft and slow. The wind picks up slightly. A breeze with a chill edge brushes your face. You notice it. And this time, you don't flinch. You don't worry. You just watch. The birds change direction. The leaves sway in new patterns. A few drops fall cool and scattered across the ground. Someone nearby starts humming that new tune again. A few others join. And just like that, the storm becomes welcome, not feared, not avoided, but greeted, like a guest returning home. That night, a light rain falls on the roof of the shelter. You lie beneath the firs, eyes closed, listening. It's gentle, peaceful, a soft tapping above you, steady and slow. Your thoughts drift back to the cave, to the lightning, to the closeness of that night, the fire, the warmth, the steady heartbeat of others breathing beside you. You remember how loud it was, how bright, how new, and you remember how it ended with silence, with stars, with soft mud under your feet, and the taste of sweet roots by the fire. The rain continues, and you smile, because now it's just part of the story. In the coming days, more storms will come, some louder, some softer, and each time, you'll build the fire again. You'll check the sky. You'll stack your stones and whisper your songs. You'll teach the little ones what the elders taught you, that the sky is not angry, it is just wild. And wild things can be loud and bright and sudden, but they pass. And when they pass, they leave the world cleaner, greener, quieter. The wind moves differently now, not just through the trees, but through your thoughts. Ever since the storm, you've paid more attention. You've learned to watch the leaves, the birds, the colors in the sky not as background noise, but as messages. Today, the clouds are scattered. Not heavy, not threatening, just wide and soft, like stretched wool in the sky. You lie in the tall grass, hands behind your head, watching them float. A bird circles above you slow and wide, casting a shadow that moves across your chest. You follow its path until it disappears behind a tree, then keep looking upward, because now you see more than just clouds. You see clues. The elders call it sky thinking. Not thinking with your mind alone, but with your body, with your skin, your nose, your ears, with how the wind feels across your arms, with how the scent of the air changes between morning and night. You've begun to notice patterns. When the sky glows orange too early, it means wind by sunset. When the crickets go quiet all at once, something big is near. When the crows gather in the same tree 2 days in a row, rain is coming. You don't question how you know. You just know. Because the storm gave you ears that hear more than sound. It gave you eyes that see beyond shape. It gave you the habit of noticing. Later that evening, the tribe gathers again, not around fear, not around fire alone, but around stories. But this time, the stories are different. They aren't only about the storm that passed. They're about the signs that came before it. One hunter speaks softly. He remembers how his joints ached 2 nights before the thunder came. Another remembers how the birds flew lower, almost skimming the ground, as if afraid of what was above. A mother speaks of her child waking early, restless, the morning of the lightning. They all nod. You nod too, because the memory isn't fading, it's growing. The more you speak of it, the clearer it becomes, like mist lifting from a river. What once felt like confusion is now understanding, and what was once just sound and fear is now a pattern, a signal. The next day, the tribe marks a stone. Not a large one, not tall or sharp, just wide and flat, half buried near the edge of the sleeping area. With fingers dipped in crushed berries and ash, they paint shapes. A spiral like the sound of thunder rolling, a jagged line like the lightning that split the sky, a circle like the fire that kept you safe. You kneel beside it and add your own mark, a wave for the wind, for the rhythm of the trees before the rain, for the sound that moved through your chest like a second heartbeat. You step back, and even though it's just lines on stone, something about it feels sacred, because it's not a picture of the storm. It's a memory of how you lived through it, how you listened, how you stayed. That night, the wind returns, gentle, steady. You sit near the shelter, watching the firelight reflect in shallow puddles left behind by the last rain. The sky above you is clear, but you notice something. A sharpness to the air, a sudden hush in the insects, a flicker in the flames. You look to the east. Clouds, not fast, but moving, long, stretched, silent. You feel it again, that ancient knowing. You rise and tell the others, not loudly, just a word, a gesture, a nod to the sky. They understand. They begin to prepare, not in panic, but in calm motion. Blankets moved, firewood stacked, food covered, small ones brought in close. Because now, you don't wait for the storm to teach you. You remember. And remembering is enough. A few drops fall later that night. Only a few. But it's enough to test the new shelter. You press your hand to the roof above you. Dry. You smile. The leaves held. The grass walls stayed firm. The tilted angle let the water slip right off. The shelter worked. Not because it was big, not because it was strong, but because it was built with memory. And memory is what keeps you safe when the thunder comes back. As the light rain falls and the fire lowers itself to glowing red, someone starts to hum again. That same soft tune, the one made from the storm itself. The little ones sway with the rhythm. One drums gently on their own knee. Another taps 2 stones together, slow and steady, matching the pattern of drops on the roof above. No one tells them to stop. No one tells them it's too loud, because the storm is no longer just weather. It's become part of your music, your memory, your language. You close your eyes and listen to the stones, to the humming, to the sky. And you think to yourself not with words, but with feeling. The sky is not something to run from. It's something to welcome. It speaks in a language made of light and water and sound. And you're beginning to understand it, not just for you, but for those who will come after. The sky is clear again, but this time you don't trust it completely. Not in a fearful way, more in a respectful way, like looking at an old animal that might bite but probably won't. You've learned that the sky isn't just beautiful or blue or full of stars. It can also roar, it can flash, it can flood the world in cold and light. And so, even on quiet days, the tribe prepares. You rise early now. Not because someone told you to, but because the light before sunrise holds secrets. The cool air, the stillness of the trees, the silence of the birdsong of it, says more in that hour than any story could. You walk to the edge of the clearing, where the grass is tallest and the ground dips slightly toward the river. You crouch and press your palm to the soil. Still dry, still warm, but not as warm as yesterday. You glance at the horizon's soft gray clouds stacked gently above the hills. Not storm clouds, not yet, but the kind that can turn heavy overnight. You take note, not just in your mind, but in your muscles, in the rhythm of your breath. The elders begin teaching without asking, not in lessons, not in lectures, but in actions. They show you how to choose firewood that burns, even after rain bark that peels and strips, hidden branches tucked under thick bushes where the storm can't reach. They show you where to place dry leaves in the shelter, so smoke escapes but warmth stays in. They show you how to build 2 fires instead of 1, in case one dies during the night. And you learn. You copy their movements, their patience, their quiet certainty. Because preparation is not about panic, it's about peace. By midday, the younger ones have joined too. They carry stones for the base of the shelter's flat ones, for flooring, heavy ones to hold down hides when the wind comes. One child builds a tiny shelter beside yours, no taller than their knee, just a model, just a shape, but the structure is right. Slanted roof, strong sidewall, small hole for firelight. They've been watching, learning through the storm's story, through the hush of the cave, through the softness in your voice when you told them how the thunder rolled across your bones. This is how knowledge passes. Not with rules, with presence, with attention. That evening, the tribe eats together again. The meal is simple roasted roots, a few herbs, dried fruit softened in warm water. But it tastes better than before. Maybe because your hands helped make it. Maybe because the food was earned through survival. You sit in the circle, the fire painting your faces in orange and gold. Someone hums. Someone laughs. One of the elders taps a rhythm on a hollow log, matching the beat of your own steady breath. You look around. No one is afraid anymore. Even the smallest child listens to the thunder and stories without shrinking. Because now, the storm is part of you. It shaped your silence, and your silence taught you what to do. Later, one of the elders lifts a bundle from their satchel. It's a piece of leather, stretched and darkened by time. Painted symbols cover its smudged spirals, handprints, lines that twist like rivers, and jagged strikes of red, the storm in picture form. They hold it up so everyone can see. Then they lay it down near the fire and point. Each symbol is explained, not in long words, but with gestures. This, they say, tracing the red mark, was when the sky opened, a flat hand, a soft breath. This, their finger lands on a black curl, was when the cave became warm. They place a palm on the earth, grounded, and this, they press over a yellow dot, is the fire that stayed lit until morning. You close your eyes. You can feel it again, not just the memory, the understanding, the lesson of the storm-etched in story, spoken in silence. That night the wind picks up, not strong, just enough to stir the leaves. You open your eyes to it and sit up quietly. You walk to the edge of the clearing, where the stones were placed after the last storm. You run your fingers across them, still cold, still firm. They haven't moved, and neither have you. You don't feel the need to wake the others. This is not that kind of wind. It's just a reminder that things change, that storms pass, that life keeps speaking, even when the sky is quiet. Back inside the shelter, the fire is low. You feed it a small stick. It flares, then settles. Soft orange light returns. You curl up beneath your blanket, warm, tired, and unafraid. Outside, the trees move gently. The world breathes, and you breathe with it. The sky is calm again, not just for a day, but for many. And in that quiet stretch of sunlit mornings and warm, dry evenings, something begins to change inside you. Not a big shift, nothing sudden, just a small warmth, a knowing that what happened that night, the rain, the roar, the firelight, the hush, wasn't just a memory. It's something deeper, something that lives in the fire still. You sit near the stones at the edge of camp, watching the smoke rise in soft spirals from the morning's cookfire. The sky above you is streaked with clouds, thin and gentle like stretched wool, harmless. Birds fly across them in lazy arcs, and everything feels still. Someone walks past you. They pause at the stones, place a small stick upright in the earth beside them. No words, no explanation, just a mark, a gesture. You nod, because you understand. That stick, that moment, that pause, it's not about fear. It's a way of saying thank you. Thank you for the shelter, for the fire, for the calm that followed. The storm is gone, but its presence lingers in your rituals. The elders speak of it differently now. They don't say, the storm that came. They say, the storm that taught. The words carry weight, but they carry comfort too. And when the little ones ask what lightning is, the answers come not in fear but in rhythm. It is the sky's hand reaching. Or, it is the world stretching its voice. Or, it is the fire before the rain. Each one feels true, because truth doesn't need to be sharp to be understood. It can be soft, like thunder wrapped in a story. At dusk, the tribe gathers for something new, not to eat, not to sleep, but just to remember. Someone arranges stones in a new pattern this time, in the shape of the spiral, like the old elder once described. In the center, a small flame. Around it, offerings. A feather, a flower, a carved bit of wood, a handful of ash. You watch as each person steps forward and adds their own piece. No one speaks, but the silence says everything. This isn't a ritual built from fear, it's built from connection, from shared warmth, from the way you held each other close when the sky cracked open. The children mimic it the next day. You find them stacking pebbles, drawing curls in the dirt with sticks, humming the storm song. They're not scared, they're curious, and they understand in the way only children doby, playing, by copying, by absorbing the world, without needing it explained. One of them looks up at you, points to the clouds, and asks, "When will the sky sing again?" You smile, because that's what it is now. Not an attack, not a punishment, just a song. A voice the earth makes when it needs to be loud for a while. That night, before sleep, the wind returns. A little stronger this time. Not angry, just insistent. It moves the grass like waves in the dark. The fire flickers higher, and you feel it, the faint tickle of memory brushing your skin. You rise, gently, walk to the edge of camp. You crouch down beside the stones, and you whisper, "We remember." It's not a prayer, not really, but something close. You sit for a while, knees to your chest, watching the sky above. The clouds drift slowly, glowing pale in the moonlight, and for a moment, just a breath, you think you see a flicker far off. Not lightning, just a glimmer, a reminder. that the sky is still watching, still waiting, still part of the circle. You sleep easily that night, wrapped in fur, head near the coals, a quiet hum of wind whispering through the cracks of the shelter. And in your dreams, the storm returns, but not to scare you. It dances in the distance, roaring like laughter, flashing like memory, a presence, not a threat. And you sleep through it peacefully, because now you know its rhythm. You know it ends, and when it does, it leaves the world softer than before. The season begins to change. The days are longer now, the nights warmer. The forest hums with life-thicker air, greener leaves, busier animals. But even as the world shifts around you, the memory of the storm still walks quietly beside you, like a shadow that doesn't vanish even in the sun. It's part of you now, like the fire, like the wind, like the breath you take each morning before the sky wakes. One morning, a sound reaches your campsite at first. Footsteps in leaves, rustling, a new voice. The other tribe. They've come again, as they do once or twice a season. Not close enough to live with you, but not far enough to forget. They carry baskets, tools, hides. They speak with their hands, with their eyes, with slow sounds you only partly understand. But they understand you, because in the way their eyes lift to the clouds, in the way their hands gesture at the sky, you see it. They know the storm too. Maybe not the same one, but one like it. And it left something with them too. That night, the two tribes share a fire. The circle is wide, 2 fires, even on each side, like twins warming the same space. Children watch each other from across the flame. Mothers offer dried berries and cooked meat. Elders share stories in bursts of sound and movement, miming things that don't need full explanation. And when the topic turns to the storm, you feel it. No one says it outright, but heads nod, eyes close, shoulders lift, as if remembering the weight of rain. A man draws a jagged line in the dirt. Another adds swirls. A child presses a palm into the earth and then traces a ring around it. You reach into your pouch and pull out one of your 3 smooth stones, the one for the sound. You place it gently in the center of the dirt drawings. They watch you, and they understand. No words, just the storm shared. Later, someone from their tribe begins a chant. It starts low, a single note held softly. Then another joins, and another, until a dozen quiet voices rise and fall in a rhythm you don't know but somehow recognize. It's the storm again, but in their language, their rhythm, their memory. And when the song ends, you hum your own. Not the same, but not so different. The echoes of your cave, the hush of your fire, the beat of your heart when the thunder rolled. They nod and hum with you. And just like that, the memory passes. Over the next few days, the tribes share more than food and fire. They share tools, plants, hides, but more than anything, they share signs, gestures for the sky, signals for birds flying low, ways to point to clouds and wind. You show them how you stack stones when you feel the thunder coming. They show you how they weave thin reeds into lines and hang them from the shelter. When the reeds twist and dance, it means the storm is near. You touch the reeds, they touch the stones, and both feel sacred. One morning, you and a girl from the other tribe walk to the river. You don't speak much, but when a breeze lifts your hair, she glances up, points to a cloud. You nod. You both feel it. A shift in the sky. You sit together on a flat rock and dip your feet into the water. It's cold, but not sharp. Just clean. You listen to the current, to the wind, to the quiet words the trees whisper to those who sit still long enough. She begins stacking tiny pebbles on the riverbank, one by one. Not fast, not careless. You join her. The pile grows, not tall, just wide. You don't say what it's for. but you both know. A memory. A signal. A promise that if the thunder ever comes while you're apart, you'll both know how to listen. The tribes part days later. No ceremony. Just warm glances, full satchels, and quiet footsteps into the forest. You watch them disappear between the trees, their backs strong, their heads lifted toward the sky. You hold your pouch tighter, the smooth stone still inside. The others you gave away, left behind in the dirt drawings by the fire. Gifts, not just of thanks, but of understanding. Because what matters now isn't just that you survived the storm, it's that you remembered it and passed it on. That night, before sleep, you sit again near the old stones. You light a small fire, just for yourself. No one else joins, and that's okay. This fire isn't for warmth, it's for remembering. You close your eyes and breathe deeply. The air is quiet, the world is still, but inside you, the storm hums softly its rhythm, part of your heartbeat now. Its silence, part of your thoughts. Its memory, part of your hands, your eyes, your breath. And tomorrow, when someone new asks about the wind, you'll smile, and you'll know where to begin. Time moves gently now. The storm is no longer fresh, but it isn't forgotten. It has taken root not only in your memory, but in the land itself. You can feel it, even on quiet days. Especially on quiet days. The wind carries it in soft reminders. The soil holds it in the way it stays damp, just beneath the surface. And in the stones, it lives. You've started carving, not for hunting, not for tools, for remembering. You sit near the old shelter, a flat piece of rock across your lap, a sharpened bit of bone in your hand. The marks you make aren't drawings, not exactly. They're not meant to show something. They're meant to feel like something. A slow curl for the wind, a jagged mark for the flash, a ring within a ring for the fire circle. No one told you to do it. You just felt the need to keep the storm from fading into nothing, to give it a place to rest. Others begin doing it too. One by one, the tribe finds ways to leave signs behind. A line of stones beneath the new shelter, arranged like the rhythm of the thunder. Boom, pause, boom, pause, pause, boom. A bundle of reeds tied above the sleeping space, rattling in the breeze like gentle rain on a dry night. A ring of ash around the fire each morning, not swept away until night falls. None of these things are explained out loud, but everyone understands. The storm has become more than weather. It's become a guide. The elders say the storm changed everything, that before the tribe followed only hunger and warmth. Now you also follow the sky. You know when the clouds speak. You know when the trees fall still. You know what it means when the birds disappear all at once into the canopy above. You don't just react anymore. You prepare. You predict. You remember. And that memory becomes action. It becomes the way you walk, places you build, the days you choose to travel or wait. One evening, as the sun slides low and bathes the world in gold, a group begins stacking stones at the edge of camp. Not to block the wind, not to catch animals, just to hold something unseen. They choose smooth, wide stones flatter than usual. Pieces that look like pages even though books don't yet exist. They stack 3, then pause, then 3 more. Then 2 smaller ones on top. A quiet formation, a kind of tower. You walk over and run your fingers along its side. Cool, solid. Each groove in the stone says nothing with words but says everything you remember. You add a mark of your own. A small curve near the base, like a river turning away from the storm. That night you dream of the sky, but not the loud sky, not the broken, cracking one. You dream of the quiet sky that comes after, soft, still, watching over you while you sleep beneath its wide arms. In your dream, the storm doesn't come to frighten. It comes to remind that life is movement, that peace is earned through understanding, that even the wildest roar will pass if you listen long enough. When you wake, dew coats the grass. The fire has died, but the embers still glow. You take a stick and gently stir it, coaxing flame from beneath the ash. The others begin to rise, quietly, softly, as if the whole tribe now moves like the wind it once feared. You think of the tower of stones, and of how long it might last. Seasons will pass, rains will fall again. The wind will come in from new directions, but the tower will still stand. And even if one day it falls, the memory will stay in the hands that built it, in the silence between words, in the sky above, and in the soft rhythm of a child's breath as they fall asleep near a fire while rain begins to fall again. The child doesn't remember the first storm. Not really. They were too young, too small, but something in them still knows. They run through the tall grass barefoot, laughing, arms spread wide like wings, chasing the flutter of a bird just ahead. Their voice rises and falls with joy. The sky is blue, the breeze is light. But when the wind changes, when it brushes the wrong way across their face, they pause, without knowing why. They stop, turn, and look up. Not in fear, not in confusion, but with recognition. The clouds above are different now, thicker, grayer, moving faster than they were a moment ago. And even though no one says a word, they feel it. Back at the fire circle, the child returns with slower steps. The laughter fades, replaced by quiet. Not worry, just awareness. Their small hands curl around a stick, not to play, just to hold, just to have something grounded. They sit beside the fire, close to the others. The elders notice. They glance to the sky. They feel it too. There is no panic, no rush, only soft movement. Shelters are checked. Blankets are shifted. Furs are brought closer. Someone places dry wood under the largest overhang. Another tightens the roof lines with fresh leaves and bark. Everyone moves. Everyone prepares. And the child watches it all, quietly, learning through presence, through repetition, through the peace of doing what's always been done. Rain comes in the evening. A soft tapping on the shelter roof. A breeze that rolls through the camp like a whispered story. The child lays curled between two others, wrapped in warmth. Their eyes are wide, listening to the sound. Someone hums, a slow tune. Not loud, just enough to remind the little one that they're not alone. That the sky can be noisy, but never cruel. That the fire will stay lit. That the storm will pass. The next morning, everything smells green again. Fresh, alive. The child steps outside barefoot, into the wet soil. They squat low, running their fingers through a puddle, watching the ripples curl outward. They find a flat stone nearby. Pick it up, carry it back to the shelter, and place it beside the others. A new addition, a new memory. They don't explain it. No one asks them to, because this is how it begins. Not with stories, not with lessons, with instinct. The days that follow move slowly. The sun returns. So does the laughter. But something has shifted. The child now checks the sky without thinking. They pause at the feel of a sharp breeze. They listen to the silence of birds and wonder what it means. Their hands learn how to carry kindling, how to stack stones just high enough to shield the flame from wind, how to wrap dry leaves in bark to keep them safe from rain. And no one needs to show them anymore, because memory is no longer taught. It's lived. You watch them, the same way someone once watched you. Not with judgment, just with stillness. And you feel a quiet pride bloom in your chest, not loud or overwhelming. Just warm, just steady. Because this is what survival looks like, you think. Not sharp, not violent, just slow and sacred. One storm at a time. You begin to mark the days differently now, not by the moon alone, but by the weather. 2 rains since the last fire moved, someone says. 3 bird silences before the thunder, another adds. The tribe tracks the world not in numbers, but in rhythm, in scent, in silence, in the way the trees lean during certain winds, and the child listens to it all, absorbs it without effort, like breathing, like sleep, like firelight flickering in the corner of their vision as the rain whispers on the roof. That night, a mist clings to the ground. The stars above are dim, but the fire burns clean. You sit beside the child as they poke at the edge of the flame with a stick. They glance up at you, eyes reflecting the glow. "Will the thunder come again?" they ask. You nod once, slowly. "Yes," you whisper, "but not tonight." They look back at the fire, then back to the sky, and then they say something soft, something that makes you smile. "I like the thunder," they murmur, almost to themselves. "Me too," you reply. And in the quiet that follows, nothing more is needed. The sky changes first, not all at once, not with a roar or flash, just a quiet shift. The light becomes softer in the mornings. The wind carries more weight, and the birds sing shorter songs. Somewhere in your bones, you feel it. The season of storms is near again. No one needs to say it. You simply know. Because the world teaches without words. The child notices it too. They sit with their hands in the dirt, watching the way the trees bend. Not how far, but how long. Their eyes squint at the clouds, comparing shapes to the ones they remember from before. They tug at your fur cloak. "Is it the storm season?" You glance at the sky, then back to them. You nod. Their eyes widen, but not in fear, in understanding. Preparation begins slowly, not rushed, not loud, just steady. Hides are checked for leaks. Stones are restacked near the fire's edge. The driest bark is gathered and stored inside the shelter, covered in thick leaves. Someone starts tracing the old storm spiral into the dirt again. Another hums the thunder song. These aren't commands, they're rituals. Movements passed from hand to hand, breath to breath, without ceremony, without a name, just knowing. You teach the child to listen to the wind nod with their ears, but with their skin. "Close your eyes," you say. They do. You guide their hands to the air. Feel how it presses? A nod. And how it pulls when it shifts? Another nod. They smile. They don't need to ask why this matters. They've heard the stories, they've seen the signs, and more than that, they've felt the stillness before the storm. That quiet hush the trees make when they hold their breath. That deep silence the animals leave behind when they vanish into hiding. It's all around them, in every rock and rustle, and now it's inside them too. As dusk arrives, the tribe gathers. The fire burns brighter tonight. Not in warning, in readiness. There's no fear anymore when the clouds begin to thicken. Just a calm awareness, an alertness that doesn't tense, but grounds. The older ones bring out the reed strings and hang them in the corners of the shelter. The younger ones collect smooth stones and line them along the path between shelters, each one touched, each one placed with care. Even the smallest gestures mean something, especially now. You notice a new pattern starting. Someone leaves a bundle of herbs at the edge of the camp. Not for food, for scent, for comfort. The smell fills the iris soft sweetness that calms the breath and eases the chest. You sit beside it and close your eyes. And for a moment, you could almost forget the storm was ever frightening. Because now, it feels like a friend, a visitor returning, a voice that speaks not in rage but in rhythm. When the rain does come, it's not a surprise. The tribe is already gathered, already listening. The fire is covered with a stone dome, something new this season, built from memory. It protects the coals from the heaviest drops, lets them breathe without dying. The thunder rolls overhead, but no one flinches, not even the child. They crawl close to your side and smile. "I knew it would come," they whisper. You smile too. Me too. The shelter holds steady. The wind shakes the walls, but everything inside remains still, safe, warm, alive. Later, as the thunder fades and the rain becomes a gentle mist again, you step outside. The storm left puddles across the stone. They reflect the firelight like golden mirrors. You crouch near one and watch the ripples form from the drips above. The child comes to your side, holds your hand, and together you listen, not for what's coming, but for what's already passed. The storm is behind you now, and yet it's never truly gone, because in the way you walk, the way you build, the way you hold each other during the first flash of light, it lives, not as a warning, but as a part of who you are. The storm has passed again, and again. The world is clean. The trees drip gently. The soil feels soft beneath your toes. Mist clings to the low ferns, curling around rocks and roots like smoke. You step carefully, listening to the forest exhale. Everything is quieter after a storm, but it's not empty. It's full of memory. You watch the child gather stones. Small ones, smooth and flat. They arrange them in a circle near the edge of the clearing, just as they've seen you do. They hum the thunder song, but slower, now soft, like a lullaby. One stone is placed in the middle. They press their palm into the dirt beside it. No words, just breath, just presence. They don't know every part of the first storm. They weren't there when the cave shook. They never felt the fire flicker under lightning. But somehow, they still remember. Not in the mind, in the bones. In the quiet way their eyes lift when the wind turns. In the way they always check the sky before nightfall. The knowledge lives in them now, passed on without being taught. You sit beside them and run your hand along the outer ring of stones. "Why do we always do this?" they ask gently. You smile, slow and soft. "Because the storm taught us how." Their brow furrows in thought. "How can a storm teach?" You take a breath. Let the air settle in your chest. "Not with words," you say, "with feeling. With what we needed to learn most. To stay close, to stay ready, to listen." They nod, but they're still quiet, still thinking. You don't press them. Some answers come slowly. Some answers aren't answers at all. They're rhythms. That night, around the fire, someone tells the story again. The first storm, the loud one, the bright one, the one that made the sky speak. But this time, the story sounds different. It's told like a memory you keep in your hand, worn smooth, soft at the edges. No fear in the voice, only warmth, only rhythm. You hear the crack of lightning described as a gift. You hear the cave described as a womb. You hear the thunder called a song that the earth sings when it needs to be held. And across the fire, the child listens, wide-eyed, just like you once did. And you realize, you're no longer the one being taught. You're the one keeping the song alive. After the story ends, there is no applause, no cheer, just silence. The good kind. The kind that follows understanding. The kind that happens when a story wraps itself around a room and says, "You belong here." Before sleep, you sit outside the shelter again. You don't look at the sky. You listen to it. It doesn't roar. It doesn't whisper. It just breathes. And so do you. You feel the steady rise and fall of your chest. You feel the earth still warm beneath you from the fire. You feel the memories not as thoughts, but as touch. The way your hands know where to go when the clouds darken. The way your feet remember which ground stays dry when the rivers swell. The way your heart stays calm, even when thunder shakes the trees. The child lies beside you now. They've fallen asleep with one hand over their pouch of stones. You brush a leaf from their hair and smile. They are the next firekeeper, the next watcher of skies, the next voice that will hum the old tune when the wind howls through the forest. You don't have to tell them what to do. They'll remember when the time comes. Because remembering is no longer something you do, it's something you are. The days grow longer again. The storms come and go, but none stay long. You feel a shift in the way the tribe moves. Not faster, not slower, just lighter. The fear that once lived under every thunderclap has become something quieter, smaller. It still exists, but it's wrapped in trust now. Trust in the shelter, trust in each other, trust in memory. You wake before the sun and stretch beneath your fur, joints cracking gently like firewood catching a spark. The air is still. Birds haven't started their songs yet. But you can feel the hum of the day to come, not in sound, but in the way the earth settles beneath your hand when you press your palm into the ground. You sit up and look around. The fire is still warm, glowing softly under its protective dome. The shelter walls breathe quietly. You see a few others already awakesome, gathering water, others checking the stones near the edge of the camp. The child is there too, kneeling by the spiral you made together weeks ago. Their fingers trace the lines, slow and careful, like reading something without letters. You watch them from a distance and say nothing. There's no need. They are learning the way you did, by being near the flame. Later that day, while the sun stands high and strong, you show them how to build a new fire, not just to light it, to understand it. You kneel in the shade of the trees and place the stones in a circle, evenly spaced. You lay dry grass in the center, followed by the finest twigs, then a few heavier branches across the top. "Why these ones first?" the child asks, holding up a thicker stick. "They're too heavy for the beginning," you say. "The fire won't breathe." You blow gently on the grass. It flares into gold. They watch, eyes wide, as the fire begins to grow. Not wild, not fast, just enough. They lean in, quiet, and then they smile. In the days that follow, the child begins lighting the morning fires themselves. Some take longer than others. Some smoke too much. One doesn't catch at all. But that's part of the rhythm. Because learning a fire is like learning the sky. You don't force it. You feel it. And they're learning to feel. You see the tribe changing now. Not just the people, the space, the habits, the way stones are placed, the way tools are stacked near the shelter wall, the way eyes glance up at the clouds without fear, without pause, just awareness. Storm season is something everyone respects now but no longer avoids. It's part of the cycle. Just like the wind, just like the fire, just like the rhythm of walking, working, resting, and returning. One morning, a visitor arrives. Not someone new. Someone from a distant group cousins from a valley 2 days away. They come with gifts of bark powder and woven pouches. They bring news of animals moving differently, of rivers that shifted, of new plants that grow better after the rains. But most of all, they bring stories. Their own version of the storm, their own marks on stone, their own child who hums a different song, but one that sounds strangely familiar. You sit across from them, and between you, the fire burns. Two children build side by side, stacking stones, trading pebbles like words. They don't speak the same language. They don't need to. Their hands move in the same rhythm. Their eyes follow the same clouds, and the firelight between them flickers just the same. Later that night, the visitor places a small stone in the center of your spiral. One unlike any you've seen. Smooth, but green. Rounded, but not from the river. They say it came from a far place where the sky touches the mountains, where the thunder echoes longer. You nod and leave it where it sits. Not as decoration, not as offering, but as a reminder that the storm isn't just yours anymore. It belongs to many. The visitors stay for several days, not because they must, because they want to. They sleep beneath your shelter's edge, warm beside your fires. They walk with your hunters to the old tree where lightning struck. They drink from the same stream. And in the evenings, they listen. They listen to your version of the storm, and you listen to theirs. Their storm came at night too, but their shelter was under a rock ledge, not in a cave. Their fire almost died, but the sparks clung to dry moss tucked under the ledge wall. They speak of how their children cried at the first flash of light, but how their oldest stood in the doorway and didn't move, how he held out his hand to feel the rain and said, "It is loud, but it does not bite." You smile at that, because that's what you learned too. In different places, in different ways, but still the same knowing. On the third night, the wind changes again. Subtle, but steady. The kind that tugs at the trees and hushes the birds. You look up. The others do too. Nothing is said. But in the stillness, preparations begin. Together. As if both tribes are one. Wood is moved. The fire is protected. The stones are rearranged this time, with two spirals side by side. Yours on the left, theirs on the right. The children press their palms into the dirt in the center. It begins to rain soon after. The storm is soft this time. More wind than thunder, more drizzle than flash. But the fire stays strong, and the stories continue told in low voices as the rain taps on the shelter's roof. You sit across from one of the visitors. They show you a pouch made of bark, filled with dark pebbles. Each one smooth and marked with a tiny scratch. Each one, they say, a storm. You nod slowly, and the next morning, you make your own. The pouch becomes part of your routine. Every time the wind whispers, the old rhythm. Every time the clouds grow heavy. Every time the air smells like stone and sky. You choose a stone, smooth it, mark it, place it in the pouch. It is not a calendar. It is not a warning. It is a memory, a way of not forgetting. The visitors eventually leave, but before they do, they take one stone from your pouch, and you take one from theirs. You don't ask what theirs meant. You don't tell them what yours was for. You both just nod, and walk away with more than you came with. Not in your hands, but in the feeling behind your ribs. That quiet fullness, that calm readiness. Later, when you sit by the fire and the child presses close, they ask, "Will we see them again?" You nod. Yes, one day. Will they remember the storm too? You look toward the horizon, to the place where the visitors disappeared into the trees. They already do. The child hugs their knees, presses their chin into them, then says, "It's nice that they listen like we do." You ruffle their hair gently and say, "The storm taught them too." From then on, new things begin to appear in the camp. Not big things, little ones. A leaf bundle tied to the center post of the shelter meant to shake when wind is strong. A curved stick laid at the doorway, with beads strung across its bend, clicking together when the air thickens. A circle of soot drawn on the firestone each morning before lighting it. No one declares these things. No one writes them down. They happen slowly, naturally, as if the hands remember before the mouth can explain. When the next storm comes, no one is surprised. The sky darkens, the wind shifts, and without a single word, the tribe begins to move. Blankets are secured. The reed strings are hung. The children know where to go. The fire is fed early, then covered gently. It's a dance now, a rhythm, and you find yourself sitting in the center of it, all watching, listening, remembering. Not just your first storm, not just your own fear, but every time the tribe has moved together like this, storm by storm, season by season, learning, becoming, changing, without forgetting. The storms don't surprise you anymore, not because you always expect them, but because your body knows the rhythm. Before the first crack of thunder, before the clouds gather in full, something inside you shifts, like a bell ringing deep beneath the ground. You feel it in your fingertips when gathering water, in the way your shoulder turns toward the wind when you walk, in the way the firewood is stacked a little differently as each moon passes, not because someone said to, because it's what you do when the sky is listening. The others feel it too. You see it in their eyes when they glance up at morning clouds, in the way they test the ground with bare toes before stepping forward, in the way they begin to hum the old storm songs on days when the air is heavy. Not sad songs, not fearful, just slow, deep, songs that match the heartbeat of the world when the rain is on its way. You've lived through many now, not all loud, not all long, but each one brings something with it. New growth, new wisdom, new stories. You've seen the trees fall and rise again. You've watched lightning turn dry wood into fire once. Just once, and that fire stayed lit for 3 days, guarded like treasure. You remember carrying glowing embers from that flame wrapped in bark, walking with it as the tribe moved from one shelter to another, lighting each new fire from the same single spark. That storm's fire lives on, still burning today. And when you stare into the flame at night, you sometimes wonder, is the storm still inside it? Now, each season begins with a small gathering. No feast, no ceremony, just a quiet time. A morning where everyone sits a little longer near the fire, where the old ones tell stories again, and the young ones listen, where the sky is watched more carefully, and the stones are checked and brushed clear of moss and leaves. The spiral, once made by hand, is now made permanent etched into stone with bone tools, darkened with ash each year. A reminder, a marker, that another season has passed, and the sky may come again with voice and light. But you are ready. You've watched the child grow with these rituals. They no longer ask what to do, they do it. They no longer look to you when the wind stirs. They look to the trees. Their hands know how to shield a flame from the first gust. Their eyes know which clouds hold water and which are just passing. And now, they teach others. You watch them kneel with the youngest by the fire, drawing spirals in the dirt, handing out smooth stones, telling the story of the night the cave shook with thunder, but always with a smile at the end. It was loud, they say, but we were louder inside. And in that moment, you feel something you hadn't felt before. Not pride, not even peace, but belonging. You are no longer just the one who remembers. You are part of something being remembered. A piece in the chain. Not the beginning, not the end. Just one voice in a song that continues. One morning you walk alone, out to the ridge where the clouds always touch first. The wind there is strong, the sky wide and open. You sit with your legs folded beneath you and close your eyes, and you listen to nothing, to everything, to the soft pulse of wind against your skin, to the dry hiss of grass swaying beside you, to the birds calling low in the trees below. And for a moment, it feels like the storm is coming again, but you don't move. You just breathe and say softly, to no one but the air, I remember. The fire feels different now, not in its light or heat, in what it means. Once, it was a defense. Then, it became comfort. Now, it's something more. A place where memory gathers. Where stories linger even when no one's speaking. Where the wind outside can howl, and yet everyone inside stays still. The child is no longer a child. They rise before the sun. They check the sky before each meal. They hum the storm song without thinking, while weaving, while walking, while warming their hands over flame. You watch them explain to a new little one how to sit closer to the wall when the wind rises, how to place stones near the shelter post to keep the grass mat from curling. They don't look for your approval. They don't need it, because the rhythm you once held in your own chest now lives in theirs. One day, the air changes. The birds stop suddenly mid-call. The trees sway not with breeze, but with warning. You feel it before you hear it. The coming of a great storm. You've known many, but this one feels old, wide, deep, like the first one, the one that taught you everything. And yet, you do not rush, you do not speak, you simply gather what must be gathered. You let your hands move on their own, because memory lives there now. The child sees it too. They call out not with fear, but with calm. They point to the clouds, thick and low, rolling like dark wool over the hills. And suddenly, the camp moves as one. No panic, no confusion, just presence. Blankets drawn, fire tucked in. The reed strings hung in doorways, already swaying. Children brought closer. Spirals brushed clear of leaves and traced again with fresh lines. This isn't a reaction. It's a return to something older than memory, to instinct, shaped by storm after storm. The thunder comes like a drum from the mountains. The lightning dances behind the trees. Rain begins as a whisper, then a steady song. Inside the shelter, the tribe sits around the fire still, glowing beneath its stone cover. The air smells of bark and earth. You sit in your place, now beside the wall, and the child groan and shursits in the center. Their voice rises in the storm song. Not loud, not forced, just clear, calm. Everyone joins, even you, a soft hum rising above the thunder, not in defiance, in understanding. You close your eyes and listen not to the sky, but to the ones around you, breath after breath, wordless song. The same rhythm you once learned in the cave, now passed on again, without asking, without trying. This is what survival has become. Not a fight, a memory shared by firelight. Morning comes slowly. The storm has passed. But the world doesn't rush to greet the sun. It wakes softly, as if still listening. The clouds stretch thin across the sky, torn open by light. The trees hold still in their places. Rain drips gently from leaves, slow and steady, like a drumbeat fading into silence. You step out of the shelter barefoot, your soles pressing into damp earth. You breathe in. It smells of smoke, moss, and yesterday's thunder. The child stands beside you, watching the mist rise from the grass. They say nothing, but you see it in their eyes. They understand what just happened. Not the science, not the reasons, but the rhythm, the moment, the meaning. They pick up a pebble from the ground and carry it back to the fire circle. It's dark, still wet, smooth in the center. They place it on the spiral, a new stone, a new storm remembered. You smile, not at them, at the world, at how it continues, at how the storm didn't leave fear behind but understanding. Around camp, the tribe moves with that same quiet. No big speeches, no loud praise, just steady hands, drying mats, turning logs, collecting leaves knocked free by the wind. Some rebuild the reed strings. Others sweep water from sleeping spaces. Everyone knows what to do, not because they were told, because the storm taught them. You kneel by the spiral and trace the outer ring again with your fingers. Each loop a season, each groove a memory. And this one belongs to them now, to the child who grew up with the storm in their breath, to the ones who never knew the first thunder, but still feel it in their bones, to the fire builders and songkeepers, to those who listen to the sky not with fear but with peace. You press your palm into the dirt, the same way you did that first night, long ago, back when the cave echoed, when your heart raced with every flash, when you didn't know what would happen. And now, with the same sky above you different only in color, you feel something you couldn't have felt then. Stillness. Not silence. Stillness. The kind that comes when the storm inside you has found its place. The fire crackles softly beside you. Someone laughs in the distance light and free. A bird sings a long, low note from the trees. And the child, your child, the tribe's child, the sky's child hums, the thunder song, again. Not because the storm is coming, but because it came, and it left peace in its wake. You close your eyes. Let the warmth of the fire touch your skin. Let the earth rise gently to hold you, and you listen one last time. Not for danger, not for signs, just to remember, just to breathe, just to rest in the sound of a world that once howled and now whispers the end. You survived the first thunderstorm, and now its memory will survive through you.